Hey, team, thanks for joining us tonight. Well, I feel like, am I joining you or you're joining me? I don't really know.
No, mate, you've been pretty reliable of late. I reckon you're like maybe 4 weeks in a row now. You finally decided to turn up, bringing your A game at least 50% of the time. That's bloody brilliant.
You got the flash stuff,
mate. Hey? You're all set, ready to go. People will even be able to hear you for once, mate. I don't know anyone who's ever. Nobody has ever said to me, I can never really hear Robbie. Like, it's never been an issue that someone has said to me that you're.
I actually don't think the volume's up.
Now I can be that person that
it's not plugged in. Yeah,
talks really.
It's quiet.
Mate, your audio is really
working.
I don't fucking know what's going on then.
I'm sure of it.
There we go.
Microphone's on the other side.
Turned up to its max, mate. Hopefully it's bloody working.
He doesn't have the PMDs, though. He's not trained.
Ben
How is everyone tonight? What do we got? We got Sammy Wins in the house. Ben Hinton's just pointed something
Robbie,
out.
your microphone's not working and you're talking over everyone.
Oh, what a disaster.
What about now?
Live TV. Love it. You know what, mate? Just go.
Tell you what. No one will fucking know. I'll just have that there anyway. Thank you, Benny Hinton. My mic is showing. There you go. Oh, absolute gold. Sean Thomas in the house. Kelly Marie. Noah's in the house. Thanks for joining us, Noah. Tommy John. Beck Hinton. Haley's in the house as well. And then thank you, Haley. Yes, you're one of my work wives. I shall sort it out. Yeah, how fucking good is this? Talking into a microphone with no fucking cord down the bottom. Doesn't matter.
Look.
How's everyone going? You had a good week so far?
You know what, mate? I reckon you just improved my week with that comedic sketch that you started the session with.
And even Tamara just sitting there, just shaking her head like with a smile on her face. I saw a ripper bloody Instagram quote the other day. It's almost like, get a girl that's going to love you for your craziness. Not try, as opposed to trying to turn you into a normal person. Fucking voila. That is I.
Lucky man.
And you know who was sitting next to the female when that bloody quote was on? Jordan Belfort.
Oh.
Of all people. I feel like I'm being closer to the microphone. Of all people. Yeah, how good's that?
Oh, we got Jano joining us. Miss your faces. Yes, here in Queensland, we are in lockdown day 4. Day 4?
Something like that.
I know, I love a good lockdown, but whilst I might like it, there is obviously lots of people out there that lockdown isn't a fun time for. They might be sitting there going, hey, man, I'm the only person in my house. So just before we rip into it, obviously, if you've got some of those people in your life that you haven't spoken to for the last 4 days, just reach out to them and just do a buddy check. It's one of those times you should be reaching out to your mates and making sure that everyone is okay from that perspective and just checking in to make sure their mental health is fine.
Yeah, and even some of our team this time, like there's been a little bit of that uncertainty, and I know Haley, she did a good 8 months or maybe longer down in Melbourne last year. So I know that even just the start of this is very unnerving. She's like, you don't know how long this is going to go for, and it's tough for people that like that stability and like the go. So we've all got each other. We've got your back.
Absolutely.
He works in the medical fraternity. 4 down, 4 to go. Stay home unless necessary, and don't forget your mask. Good bloody advice there, mate.
Nicky Otto, you're one of those people I'm thinking of, mate. I really hope that everything is okay with you. And if you want, mate, let's just have a 1 hour session, mate. I don't even know what we talk about, but we'll just jump on Zoom for an hour if you want to, buddy, and let's just check in and make sure you're doing okay.
Vaccinated.
Proof today, Benny Hinton. Proof today. Jab number 1. I've got my Pfizer jab. As I saw in another meme, by the way, you know how Pfizer makes Viagra. It says if Pfizer can bring the dead back to life, surely they can save other people's lives. I thought that was fucking funny as well. Anyway. Look at Sam's going, where is this today? I just had a coffee before, and I just love bloody drawing off tonight. It's just one of my fucking favourite things. For those that are just joining us, this microphone doesn't have any bottom, but fuck it, I'm using it anyway. But I'm just getting used to doing things this way. Righto, who else we got in the house? Nicky Otto's there, Boom, Benny Hinton. Who else did I see there? Trent Lenahan's in the house as well. Awesome. Good man, I'm fully vaccinated with Pfizer. Still don't have full bars of 5G. I don't know about 5G and Pfizer. It's got nothing to do with each other, so I'm not going to even comment about that anymore. I did put a little post up earlier today. My fucking Facebook blew up, so I just removed the post because I don't want to be one of those fucking conspiracy theorist people. So anyway, it didn't happen on this end. Righto, Lukey Millwood.
Speed test, though. It was
Luke Millwood. That is the name. I was thinking about you today, buddy, and I don't know if Deb's gotten hold of you so far, but you owe Deb some paperwork if you haven't got it to her so far. So, get that in order, my friend. And Matt Riley, I owe you some paperwork, buddy, and I'm extremely apologetic about that, but I will. It is at the forefront of my mind. I've had a couple of things that I need to deal with over the last week and a half or so. They've finally been sorted out today. And then your stuff is certainly on my priority to be able to get that shit straight across to you over the next couple of days, bud.
Yes, Matt, let me just echo that there. Dan, I had him pivot to work on some very high priority task at the strategic level, which is much better than me at doing. So I apologise, mate. I dragged him away from doing your stuff. Righto, let's get the night going. So for all those sort of first-time listeners and never-time callers today, my name's Robbie. I'm joined with Dan, Dane, and my lovely wife, Tamara, who's also the GM of the business. And we're here to answer anything about ADF housing entitlements, what's going on in the property sector, what's going on from an ADF transition perspective. You want to talk about how to start your own business as a veteran, whatever you want, really. It's a bit of a you drive the questions. But I guess in the meantime, whilst we're waiting for the questions to come through, and you can see everyone sort of checking in here now. G'day, Huey Allen, Damo Greeks, and Benny Troons joined us as well. We basically tell us about what's been happening in our world. So I guess you guys get a bit of a fly on the wall insight into all the conversations with the client, all the lessons learned, awesome observations, some funny shit that happens during the week as well, like me fucking talking with no microphone cord. But that's all right. So I guess buckle up. It's the next 50 minutes or so. We'll go pretty fast. Dane, over to you first, mate. What's been going on in the world of as we sort of call it, Axon Team 2 in Dane's world?
Old school.
Yeah.
Mine's actually a few sort of, repeat clients, we call them, but they're forever clients in my eyes, who have gone through, had an awesome experience. And I've had the lovely Beth reach out to me last night at some ungodly hour, asking, like, what would be a great thing to send to Axon? I'm like, I really don't know. We're all at home by ourselves, our sanity. But
did you give her my address then, mate?
What do you want? Your offset account?
Literally chocolates, wine, and biscuits.
Wine. I said, yeah.
Chocolate, wine, and biscuits.
Shiraz. But just people have had a fucking awesome experience, really. And they just go, man, nice. I'm so happy that I took the plunge and I'm here now. And what do I have to do? And like, Beth's going, what are we going to do, Dane, to get number 2? And I'm like, well, let's get together. Let's get it rented first. And like, she is raring to go. And I just love the energy, man, because it brings my energy up. And I've had a few of them. I'm actually talking to a guy tonight who we spoke about, I think, last week, RT, or the week before, who sold a property over in Perth.
Yes.
Stepping back into it tonight in a few hours and going after his property number 2, which is fucking awesome as well. So he's come a long way, Dan. And Dan and I both taken sort of credit for his development. We're a bit jostly here. I think it's more than when I was a property specialist. But he's grown. He's doing finance at uni as well. So we jaw off about that. And I'm just enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying a lot of those sort of personal factors and experiences and helping people and other stuff. Not always just directly with, property, but just having a fucking good week, man. A really good week.
Isn't it great seeing the evolution and the journey of our clients? But it's also the evolution and the journey of you, Dane, as you're mirrored. So you were there as Dan's property specialist. Rewind, fucking didn't take long.
What is it? 9 minutes. 9 minutes.
It was.
Rewind 3 or 4 years when I was the coach and Dan was my property specialist, and now Dan's keep coaching a heap of clients that sort of we met together. So it is a really great evolution that that client Greenie is going to be so much better off, Dane, because you've known his story from the start. And it's so fucking awesome as far as that goes.
Oh, big fingers.
Have you seen it? Ladies and gents, the reason that Tammy has lost her shit there is she sat there and she goes, How many minutes, fellas, do you reckon it's going to be before not Robbie like belts the shit out of his microphone with all of his fucking excitement hands going
And I
on?
said 10 minutes.
And 9 minutes, 09 seconds, he's managed to knock it off his desk. And I'll tell you what, he would have spilled his tea if he still had a cable attached to it from that perspective. So
It's not even plugged in. What is it still doing there?
I don't know.
There, mate. I had it
But,
there. It was
the best
plugged in. It was
excitement
supposed to be
so
working.
far, the best response is from Luke Millwood, mate. You know what? He gets the crown for that one.
Oh, that was
I'll
funny.
show you my dick fingers when you get here properly, mate.
And I just want to give a quick shout out to Deb. Obviously, you and I have been running around on a lot of stuff together, Deb, and I would never be able to do anything without you, dude. You were fucking amazing.
Oh, Deb's in the house. There you go. He is so keen. Love seeing your sides. Yes, 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 and yes. Hey, we've got our first question. Toby Brown. This is a bit of a repeat question. Toby, have we had a question from Toby before, gents? Do you recognise?
No, I think long time listener, first time caller, mate.
Doesn't matter. Toby, we're going to answer it for you, buddy, in our full bloody explanation again. You are not the first person. Actually, you're the first person to ask this question in this context. We've spoken lots about buying a property in a trust, buying a property in a company, doing it up, like keeping it away from yourself. And I guess that just goes straight into the answer, really. Dane, straight back over to you. But Toby's put it, can you buy a property in a trust or a company or a proprietary limited and still use your entitlement? So he's put a bit of a bridge on the end of the question that we haven't covered before. Go for it, champion.
My understanding is no, obviously, because the ownership is everything. When you go through and you do your application to get your HACE, Stowe House and everything, if it's in a company's name, then it deems that that's the owner, not you, right? So it's all, the structure is super important, and it's based off you as the defence member and you and your entitlements. So unfortunately not.
Yeah,
Correct.
Obviously the delegate always has the final answer. I'm not the delegate or anything like that, but I'm going to go ahead and assume your company name, your PTY Ltd, doesn't have a PM keys, brother. So if that's the case, then unless they've enlisted, mate, and your business is fucking a military member, then you know what, you might have a bit better luck from that perspective.
Could I just tell a story quickly? When I was in East Timor for the first time as a young sergeant over there working in the CMA.
Sorry, mate. Wait a second.
Hang on. Put your helmets on.
Got my helmet on.
Back in the early 2000s, there was a heap of names coming in that had first name of the Timorese people, of course, were like gathering intel and understanding, and then all of their surnames were Lanu, LNU. So I've got LTD there, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm just thinking to myself, this Lanu family is massive. But it's a huge fucking spreadsheet, and all the surnames were Lanu. I'm like, how the fuck can this actually be the case? And then I worked out it was last name unknown. They only go by their first name.
Lanu.
So maybe PTY Ltd is one of those examples.
There
Maybe
you go.
there is a Pity Lanu, Pity Ultimate. I don't know what his fucking name is, but yeah, he probably doesn't have a PM key.
Lanu.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to pass on that story. You can take your helmets off now, fellas. No one's getting shot at. Everything's good.
Yeah, anti-flash is ready to go. I mean, like, to be honest, Toby, that's like the reason you probably want to buy a property in a trust or in a company structure is all about protecting as well. So I don't know about you, but if this is like a family home or something like that, like, do you want it tied up with a business? Because that would probably, in my recollection or my experience of what I have done or my family has done, this isn't financial advice. Like, that's probably where it's at most risk, mate, if you fucking buy it in there. So it's just food for thought. It just depends how you've got everything structured from that perspective, mate. But your financial advisor is always going to be able to give you the best advice on that as well, and structuring it through your accounts perspective.
Yeah. Awesome. There you go. Good start. Good start for the questions as far as that goes.
Very good.
Tammy, what have you been up to this week? Because you and I have obviously building our own home and lots of stuff going on there as well. Probably not too much to pass on as far as that
not
goes.
a whole lot for the build side. It's a bit back and forth at the moment, and then I'm trying to get out to site, and they won't let me because it's lockdown. But yeah, a bit more hand-holding of HR stuff. Supporting the team a bit more, getting our admin stuff in order. I actually had a coaching session with my business coach today. So Scotty down at the Entourage. So just like we are really all for coaching in our business for our clients, then we also really rely heavily on coaching for ourselves. We weren't taught the ins and outs of entrepreneurship and business at school, the same as property wasn't taught at school. So, just always we're very much on that continuous professional development, always learning, always setting new targets, setting new goals. So we've just recently did our yearly planning. So lots coming out of that, and lots of behind the scenes stuff. Nothing as exciting as you guys. You guys get to talk to all of our amazing clients, and I'm in the back end figuring it all out.
I love it. And here's a classic example, ladies and gents. Tammy gets a phone call today. Oh, hello. She goes, oh, yeah, I didn't realize you were going to be there. Old mate who delivers the water, he's still fucking got his truck out the front. He still want to give this bloody 10 bottles of water for the week. There's no one in the fucking office, of course. So then you as the GM are now taking that call to go, can you get someone there to let him in? Are we going to take the delivery? No, fucking let it go to next week. It's not hard, but it's just stuff that takes up your day, isn't it?
Well, I said to him, oh, sorry, I didn't realize you'd still be coming. Otherwise, I would have cancelled it. And he goes, yeah, you're not the only business that has said that. And I'm thinking, well, maybe you probably should have called and seen if people are actually working, because he's told to stay at home.
Because he's like got these 20 litre bloody
it's essential
off of his truck, bought them on the trolley, up the fucking lift, and he's standing out the front going, hello, McFly, fucking no one home. But I'm like, anyway, could have just made a phone call, brother. We may or may not have answered it for you.
So you got 10 bottles of water at your house now, Robbie?
No.
Bring them over.
We sent him on his way. We said we'll call you when we're back.
Yeah. All right, we got some awesome questions coming in. So I guess, Dan, I'm going to go with you on, mate. How does Axon deal with COVID? What strategies, what changes during lockdown, obviously?
So Benny, I know that you're down south, man. Up here in Queensland, we're fortunate enough that construction hasn't actually been part of the lockdown at this stage. Hopefully, with our slightly harsher lockdown stance that we have taken in the immediate term, where there wasn't like, oh, we're going to lock down, but if you still want to do group PT sessions outside, then go do that. It was like, we're locked down, get inside your house and don't be outside without a mask on is the general sentiment that's been provided by our Chief Health Officer. So hopefully and I know that hope is not a method, obviously, there for those army guys out there. Hope is not a method, but it's one of those things that we're sort of sitting there expecting that the harshness of the lockdowns will allow some of those major industries to continue operating from a holistic perspective. We'll go through that from an Axon perspective. Like, we're pretty used to it. Even when it first hit last year in like March, I reckon it was the day of, like, it was pretty much like, oh, maybe people should consider starting to work from home if you can. And the very next day, we were all set up in our home offices where we've been working, speaking to clients every single night anyway. And we're just like, okay, away we go. And we're continuing to roll on business as usual. Highly attentive. We'd been using Zoom for like 2 years by that point in time. So when everyone else was trying to figure out how to lock a meeting, guess what? We'd been doing that for 2 years. And to be perfectly honest, we were just the same again. Lockdown hit. I don't think anyone even heard about it. There was no chatter on our internal chat. Everyone just assumed we're working from home, and we just got on with business from that perspective. So
I did have a couple of back channel just confirming we're working from home, but I think the main thing as well. So we had also told people for a while, especially early on, that Mondays and Fridays were like people could work from home if they wanted to as well for a long time early on in the business. So that was kind of before COVID. So then as well, like, it was very much like they've already been doing it 2 days a week. So just keep going. I think the biggest thing was everyone just started going a bit crazy from lacking of like the social side, because our office does get a little bit rowdy and a little bit loud sometimes with laughter and banter. So I think that's the part that everyone misses the most.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no real change. Benny, good question, mate. But like Dan said, luckily the construction industry hasn't changed. We spoke about it today during our build support review, where Dane and I take off all of our other hats and just sit with the build support team and literally go through every single build line by line by line by line. I'm like, all right, cool. how we're going to get professional photos done out there, etc. We're like, well, putting your property up online and advertising for rent is part of the construction process. So guess what? Professional photographer goes out there and takes a photo still. So, I guess it's just us interpreting and applying what the rules of the road are to make sure that our clients are still getting, the very best outcome as per what was written on the
And
policy.
as well, making sure people are, social distancing, maybe making sure everyone's, comfortable with what we're asking as well. We're just making things work.
Dan loves lockdown, doesn't he?
I do. It's bloody brilliant. Oh, mate.
What's that? Lockdown again? Straight
like lockdown. Thank you very much. Here we go.
No reason to be at home all the time.
Mate, that's because you get bloody gourmet meals and gourmet snacks on a regular basis.
Coffee's
Like when
coming
you and
from the
I
side.
just see a hand every now and then.
I had like these homemade bickies today. These apple and cinnamon type bickies that Anne baked up for me, and they came piping out of the oven. And I can't remember. It was one of our calls this morning, and just like a plate of 4 cookies arrived beside my computer. I was like, they were fresh out of the oven, Tammy. You got to eat them while they're hot. It's bloody brilliant.
He
got a box of Fisherman Friends delivered. A box of them. Fisherman Friends. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, they'll change your lives. Get Fisherman Friends.
Factory will be freaking out. We've got another order.
Yeah.
Who's
Who's this guy who buys more?
Hang on a sec. We'll get
question about a deposit or something.
Yes, we'll get to that in a second. But hang on a second. Let's just do a quick public, but otherwise we won't be able to read it. Can we do a public shout out to the beautiful Annie Jane, who's been chasing things up for us and investigating how the current COVID restrictions are going to impact our handover from Kent and Tash. Thank you, Jane. The build support is just another great aspect of the process, which I can't fucking read that anymore.
That's acts on apart from everybody else.
Yes. Awesome. Janie's like, no, you guys are so beautiful. I wouldn't let lockdown affect you guys getting into that beautiful new home. I got you. That's one of your favorite things, isn't it, Jane? I got you.
Just giving Fisherman Friends a shout out as well, which is great.
Yeah, mate. Jane's a convert, mate. She was Fisherman's Friends. They are the most disgusting things ever. And by the way, this isn't a paid endorsement or anything like that. Although Fisherman's Friends, if you want to get me on the phone, we can probably sort something out.
Next
So
week,
it's one of those things, I'm like, just try them. You don't need to have the original flavour. Just try a spearmint one and see how they go. And I'll tell you what, they keep you fresh. You're nice and fresh all day long.
mate, you'll be
So
talking
now
about
there's two
aftershave, man.
purchases in Australia.
Three. Actually, there is only 2 because I reckon I keep Dane in stock. That's why I go through so many.
I do. I'm a fiend for them. Noah, Soph, do we want to throw up that deposit question?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that deposit question first, and we'll just quickly close off on that. RT, I'll throw to you on the deposit question first.
No worries. I'm just about to share my screen. I've just got something loaded up here.
On the deposit question. So the broad question was, hey guys, what is the deposit that I need to be able to get started? I suppose is the general question. Then
I'll absorb that one, and RT can jump on the next one. He'll be still loading that up there. I guess for me, I always sort of look at the get started, the term get started, to be honest, because for me, getting started is a mindset thing where you actually make that you sit down, you take that, make that decision where you're going to sacrifice and start to save and start going the journey, because it all forms part of it. And when we're sort of saying to start with us, like I have people who don't even have a deposit, and I start coaching them, and talk about money habits and mindset and all different sorts of things. But when we're talking about acquisition, what we need to sort of be at that acquisition framework, I talk about between 60 to 70 grand is your entry level. You know,
you go, brother. I'm going to bring it up for you.
Yeah. All right. You go to your stuff, RT, and then I'll wrap it back around.
Soph should be able to bring that up into the screen.
There you go.
There we go. I just had to remove all the other stuff around it. So this was based on a $449,000 property, ladies and gents, whereby you need you to for an investment property, you need a minimum of a 10% deposit. Obviously, the banks won't lend you the full 100% there, plus approximately 2% lender's mortgage insurance. So you need about 53 grand as your deposit for perspective. So your deposit is your 10% of the property's price, and then you've got your cost. D&C equals deposit and costs. And you need this money, it's called funds to complete to get to land settlement. So the costs are the LMI, stamp duty, if there is any loan establishment fee. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Budget $500 for it anyway. And then, of course, you got a couple of $1,000 for your solicitor. So you've got about 62 grand as a minimum you need for a, let's say, entry-level $450,000 investment property, or property in general terms. If it's your own home, the stamp duty is going to be a whole lot less, sometimes even zero. But then you also need to be able to take care of all the other stuff that you need to happen at the end of the build. So you need to get your building inspections done, your depreciation schedule, got to pay for your letting fee. As people have already been through the build process, or if you haven't, you save yourself 10 grand or so on stamp duty when you do a land and build, because you only pay stamp duty on the land because the house doesn't exist. Right? If that was an existing property, you pay $15,000 stamp duty on a $450,000 property. So I guess, but the rubber hits the road. You need to be able to pay interest on the loan as the construction is occurring before you have a tenant move in there or before you move in there. So let's say it's about $6,000 or so during the build. You need to get your photos and advertising done. When you settle on the block of land, you need to be able to pay your rates and your water throughout that build. So there's about $1,500, and then you need your building. So your building and landlord's insurance is in place. There's another $1,000. So all up, you need about 70 odd grand or so to buy a $450,000 property, but you need about 62 to get to land settlement. And then, as you can see, the rest of it sort of trickle feeds through. There it happens again. The rest of it trickle feeds through once every 10 minutes. The rest of it trickle feeds through in sort of different timings there. And obviously you need to be able to budget for that. And we do a full calculus for you to make sure that, you're not going to be left wanting, and left short towards that there. And that's what we do during the coaching session, is to map all that out for you. So hopefully, certainly that has answered that question for you, that gentleman who asked the question there.
Daniel.
More than enough detail.
Yeah,
Let us know,
absolutely.
just a little thumbs up whether you're happy with that.
Yeah.
Boys, you need to leave it up on the screen, or does that take care of everything?
Yeah, that's pretty good, mate. I suppose that's a really good example for if someone's jump into a good little investment property. My very first investment property was a touch under $450,000 when I bought it. It's a fucking belter of a property. I've still got it in my portfolio. So it's not a bad property, that sort of style of property, actually. But that's really good for if you are an investor. My little sister is about to finish her property. Keys getting handed over, I think, on Monday, which is pretty exciting for her.
Woo!
But the good news about if you're an owner-occupier, she's not in the military either, by the way, so you've got additional grants coming your way. So if you're an owner-occupier with the right lender in the right circumstances, the right team behind you, you can actually get away with a 5% deposit.
Yep.
That needs to be genuine savings, cash in the bank that you need to be able to put aside there. So on a $500,000 property, let's just call it, I don't know, in the ballpark of about 25 grand, right? Good news is you turn up with your $25,000, the ability to purchase that property, the government turns around and gives you 15 grand back on the first homeowners grant as well. Oh, and by the way, if you were cheeky back in the day and got the home builder grant, you also get another 25 grand from the government, which is a bloody brilliant scheme. So back when home builder grant was a thing, right, people were turning up with a $25,000 deposit, getting a property under their belt, then walking away and getting an extra 40 grand worth of money, putting their skyrocket to park in your offset account as well. So it's, if you have the right ways and means and teams around you to be able to support you doing those steps, then you're going to be in a bloody great spot from that perspective. I think my general sentiment, if I can draw from yours though, Dane, is like, it's not about the deposit that you need. It's about having the right mindset to actually get started and do something. Because you can have all the cash in the world, but if you don't have the right things up here, man, like, it's a moot point. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's so much more than just the deposit. Like if you're other spending, if you're the 4 C's of lending, if you go through all that, and like the deposit is just one part of it, the banks are going to look at all of your areas of your finance, and yeah.
And you know one thing, I'll tell you one thing that's really been kicking clients' asses of late.
Oh yes, let's talk about that.
I know that Deb is going to get on red hot on board with this. The thing that is kicking people's asses at the moment is novated leases. People who go out and buy a shiny car on a novated lease, and they've got $800 a month coming out the door before tax, and they've got an extra $600 going out the door after tax. It absolutely kills your borrowing capacity. So if you go and have a look at that from a pure numbers perspective, please, 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 if you're thinking about buying a property, don't go at Deb's like, I know she's going to be just in the background going like, it has a huge effect on people's ability to be able to service on a loan, be able to get the borrowing capacity they need to be able to buy a property. So Daniel, even if you've got a deposit and if you've got a novated lease churning out all of your cash every month, you might not be getting a property anyway because one of the other 4 C's of lending don't stack up. And it's affected, I reckon, at least 3 of my clients in the last week.
I rang Dan and had a unload on him about one yesterday. Coach woman, she's got 100 grand in the bank. Can't borrow any money because she has nearly $800 a fortnight coming out for a REM serve. And I was looking at it going, what the fuck is this? And then I end up having to go for a walk to de-stress myself. And I rang Dan, I'm like, man, why are people doing this shit? You know, it's killing them, you know? So, and then obviously Deb got a bit of my cannon fodder as well when I started getting on a bit of a rant about it. But I just got this over the week at the moment.
I've heard her about the Afterpay, the Zip Pay, so the novated leases now.
Oh, it's in the
list
targets, mate. It is absolutely targets. If you're one of our crowd and you're sitting there going, oh, I think I need a shiny new car, don't like race out and do a novated lease. And I had one the other day saying, I just needed to see what it was like to figure out if it was right for me. And I'm like, what do you mean you needed to see what it was like to have it, to figure it out if it's right? Like, just pick up the phone and figure it out. It's not a hard thing to do. And I get everybody needs a car, right? Like, not everyone can be like me, driving the Bogan Chariot, which I've had since before I joined the military.
Not up in value, isn't it?
Mate, it is. It's pretty much getting to that heritage listing style of vehicle these days. But it's not going down any further. It's like a depreciating asset that doesn't go down any further because it's hit rock bottom already. So I don't lose any money from that perspective, and it wasn't on a novated lease when I bought it either.
Mm-hmm. Anthea Lee's hit it on the head just there, right? She's got a car versus a house. I know which one I'd prefer in retirement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
there you go.
All
right.
We know straight away when you say the Bogan Chariot, we know which car you're talking about.
Oh, Anthony, I like that one. Drive the cheapest car your ego will allow you to. And I had a fellow used to say to me, show me a man with an expensive car and I'll show you a man with no money. And I used to go like, ooh,
Dane, what was your first car?
Mine, 1970 Valiant Regal, 2-door, slant sticks, engine. Sold it for $4,000. I looked on car sales the other day, and they're going for 75. I nearly shot over the balcony, mate. Fuck.
Yeah, you should have put that in the garage. I've still got my first car, the 77 HX Ute. It is now parked in the garage, and when I was buying the Bogan Chariot, they offered me $3,000 on a trade-in. There is not one for sale for less than $25,000 anymore.
The Bogan Chariot.
Years ago, I came back from traveling and I bought a $500 car, and it was a Datsun 200B.
Mate, I hope you didn't get rid of that.
I did. The guy, when he bought it, I sold it on eBay actually, in auction, and it got like in the last few minutes, like all these people were bidding on it. I was like, I bought that shithole for $500, and it had a year's worth of rego, and I used it until pretty much the month before the rego was due, and I sold it, and it sold for like $2,000, and I was like, woo, I made money. And the guy said I would have paid a lot more than that if we kept going. I was like, oh, damn.
That's all good. Paul Cooney's dialed in from overseas as well at the moment. It's good to see Paul. I'm certainly looking forward to exploring the other line of interest for Axon as well, mate, for some of those people you're supporting over there. Look at this. Look at the crew. They're dialing in with their
cars they had.
Cars.
Yeah, I love it.
I know RT is like dying to show us something too, by the way.
I know. You can see he's so distracted.
You know what, RT? Can you show us
how to share it?
Come on, Robbie. Show us what you've been doing.
What I'm excited about is that it's one of those things. The business exists to empower Defence Force members or the defence community to secure their financial future using property. We get fucking super excited about that. I hope you guys can sort of see and feel that. But I love it even more when one of our team members buys a property, of which half of the business has done so over the last 12 months. And that, of course, extends to our family. So, the fact that, Dan, your sister has bought and built her first property now to move into in a location which is now, so many of our clients are now given the same opportunity to buy a property in that location. It's the whole skin in the game principle. Sure as shit, if it's good enough for your sister to buy a property in a location to benefit her financial future, then sure as shit, it's going to be even sure as big a shitter. It's going to be right for suggest that our clients go and build and buy in that location to either move into or have a property come their way. We had a property this week that's now finished being built in the same location, suburb, region that your sister bought. And I'm going to show you what the house looks like in a minute, including the floor plan. And I guess the happiness of this particular client of getting this bloody outcome, should be absolutely through the roof, which I'm sure it is. And I want to be able to share that with you guys right now. So Sophie, if you can bring that up, please.
Did you discover this screen sharing thing today, mate? It seems like you're really into it.
It's the business. It's the business. So,
can you zoom in?
Nope. They're fucking screenshots, mate. I'll try and make them a bit bigger for you. I wanted to do the old side by side.
Okay.
All right.
Now you're.
It'll do.
Oh,
looks good, mate. Looks good.
So, as you can see, this is like an extract from the property pack or brochure that we put together for our clients, right? As you can see, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Like, this is a stock standard, awesome property bought in the right location. Land, house, full turnkey package, etc., etc. We thought they were going to get $490 a week rent. That's the floor plan.
That's what the market was telling us at the time.
Correct. That's what the market was telling us. In living room, down the hallway, master bedroom, ensuite walk-in robe, no dramas. Down the end of the hallway, open plan kitchen, meals, family, al fresco, another little hallway, 2 bedrooms, laundry and bathroom sort of towards the back there, double lock-up garage. That to me is a brand new middle-of-the-market house every day of the week. But here's the thing. So it's a $525,000 package, as you can see, if you sort of like, join those two together. It got rented this week for $580 a week.
Yep.
580 and expected 490. Now here's the thing, that $525,000 package, the exact same packages right now, we're hoping that they're under 575. So he's made 50 grand or so minimum.
6. It'll start with 6, mate.
It'll start with a 6. All right, there you go. So he's made, let's call it $55,000 to $75,000 in equity, and he's now made, he or she, almost $100 a week extra in rent. So, guys, it's fucking so awesome to know that now not one of the Axon team members, one of the Axon's team members' direct family is now going to sort of, benefit from that as well. So there's a bit of proof in the pudding, ladies and gents, that it does work. If you're sort of looking to expand your portfolio.
And like,
rather
he's a single young dude, and he's literally, that house is now operating in the market, which presents enough evidence to the bank that it's actually an income generating asset out there. So now the biggest next step for him is to go and use that same equity, i.e. other people's money, to just wrap back around again, grab the equity out of it, and we'll go and buy another property that'll be doing the same thing. Brand new, middle of the market house, great rental return, and it's no more cash out of his pocket. The remainder of his savings are staying put where they are. So he'll just be using equity out of that. So I'm really looking forward to that next discussion. We've already spoken about what the next property needs to look like, and we'll just sort of launch into it from there.
Yeah.
That is right, Jane. You had to fall off your chair that day because it was 20. My biggest problem now is trying to figure out in these awesome locations, right? Do I only ask them to increase the rent by $20 or do I increase it by $25 a week?
Or 50.
Like, that's just the way the market is at the moment in these really highly sought after areas.
It was funny. I had a good coaching session with another client. He's like, but my tenant moves out in January. I'm like, good. Get them out because they're paying $510 a week. You're going to get $590 bloody come January. Like, don't be concerned about fucking booting the tenant out, mate, because at the end of the day, the market is the market. It's not you saying this is what the rent is. The market is telling them what the rent is. And at the end of the day, we're not the housing commission. We've got to be able to make sure that the investment that we have put our hard-earned savings into is giving us a thing called ROI, return on investment. ROI is what it's all about. So, please don't feel bad if you need to put the rent up based on what the market is.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about it on the flip side, right? Imagine if you were sitting there and the market has allowed the rent to go down for some reason, right? Less demand, for example. how many weeks do you reckon your tenant would let go by before they ask for a rent reduction?
Fucking yeah, no way.
Never.
Yeah.
Exactly. So why should you feel bad when the rent goes up that you don't turn around and go, hey guys, the market has dictated that rent needs to increase? Like if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't let you get away with anything.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just a matter of there as well.
We've got Michelle Watt. Can I comment on the rent returns and the possible conversations you might have with your clients? Mate, this is an open forum, buddy. As briefed during the intro, you're in charge of the questions here. Send them through. Careful what you wish for, though. You've got to get a very, very frank and no bullshit answer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll yeah. So that's all good from that perspective. So there was another question that came through. I think it was about
supply and demand from a logistics perspective as far as materials go.
Yeah, I think
Luke, a very common question we've sort of answered over the last little while.
Yeah. So Luke was broadly asking, hey, have we noticed anything from like a delay perspective? I suppose Jane is the build support manager, is like the owner of this capability in the business, and most of our clients should be getting regular updates and that type of thing. But I suppose from what I've seen at the moment, the supply shortages of like are now making their way right to the start of construction. Yep. So originally when the supply shortages were there, we pretty much got to the point in time where I was like, okay, well, we need to turn around and be like, in close stage might be a bit slower at this point in time. And then we've gotten to a point where there's a shortage of roofers. So maybe the roofing stage took a little bit longer, and then the frame stage has already happened. And now we're right at the beginning of the process now where concrete is getting to be a point of shortage. So it's taking longer to pour the slab. But then on the front end of that, the certifier to actually certify the block and the design and everything that goes together and be able to get it all approved, that is also taking a lag time. So in short, mate, the supply chain disruption is pushed right to the front now, which basically means the major thing that is holding up the process is now right at the beginning, which means you get less delays, or you technically, in accordance with doing like, you would have heard of this stuff, mate, in your supply land, in doing a Lean Sigma 6 modeling system. Everything, if you've got the largest amount of lag at the beginning, the rest of the stuff will always be sort of flowing through nicely at the back end. So we should start to see that from a supply chain perspective now as we go through.
Yeah.
There you go, Michelle Watt. You careful what you wish for, mate.
Yeah. No, absolutely. This is a great conversation. So based on from a macro perspective, based on our risk management plan, so it's all about managing risk, Michelle. This is what you're talking about, right? Sure, the market's very buoyant at the moment, and I've only been in the market for a mere 9 years as a professional, but let's call it the better part of 20 years as a punter and sort of professional joined together. So I guess it's the market trend right now. I've never seen it going the way it is from a supply and demand perspective. So I guess it's one of those things. You want to be able to benefit from that increased demand and lack of supply right now, but you never ever overshoot yourself from that sort of perspective. In normal times, when there's a even balance as far as supply and demand goes, if there's two other this is our perspective anyway. It's better to get a tenant, because you heard me talk about before, when you are paying interest on the loan until you find a tenant, guess who's paying the mortgage? You. So I guess it's one of those things we want to be able to make sure that whilst, yes, we are aiming for top dollar for your clients, our clients, at the end of the day, if there's two other properties in the street, let's call it for $400 a week rent. And if you put yours up for $400 a week rent, guess what you're doing? You're going head to head with those people. Now, without being a bloody race to the bottom, that's not what I'm suggesting either. You got to put you as the owner, in my opinion, put yourself in the tenant's shoes. If there's a like for like property and one's at $400 a week rent and the other one's at $395, what are you going to do as the tenant? Fuck, why would I pay an extra $5? That property's exactly the same. I'm going to go and rent that one over there. So you, as the owner, in our opinion, get a tenant quicker. Guess what? It relieves the stress of you then having to pay the mortgage at the end of the bloody bill. Now, when you take care of that tenant and you love that tenant and you send them gifts and you're the landlord of the year, in 12 months' time, when you send them a letter going, hey, buddy, guess what? The market's now gone up $20 a week. The tenant's going to be like, okay, no worries. The market's moved. I've now got to go and do that. Yep. So I guess in our opinion,
people should be mindful of, you know, chasing that $10 a week extra in rent over 52 weeks is $520 a week. But if your property is sitting there for an extra 3-4 weeks longer, that's already gone. That money's gone. So, like, chasing that, I want to make sure I get that $10 or $15 or $20. Like, in a couple of weeks, that is snapped up if it's kept empty. So, yeah. Especially if there's a lot coming onto market in the same area, the same developments, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think, just to reiterate, it's not like, hey, we undercut the market every time. It's like, hey, if the market dictates that this is the price, guess what? We can play at that price. There's no worries at all. And at the moment, I think what Michelle's also saying is, like, the demand at the moment is through the roof. And we are in a very, very buoyant market from that perspective. And the real thing is, there is a supply versus demand equation. And at some point in time, then the equation might flip back the other way. But, like, there's always a correction in every single market. So there's always that thing. And that's why I think, Dane, one of the biggest things you talk about is, like, you're not in this for the result you get tomorrow. This is what you get for the long term. And as long as the line of best fit is, like, going up through the roof, what's it matter? Just roll with the bumps, play the long game from that perspective.
Every investment avenue, there's always stuff, right? Or else we'd all be fucking multi-billionaires and it'd be easy. It's not. It takes work, and you've got to keep your finger on the pulse and keep monitoring that. Two things are sort of out of you guys talking there. One, look after your tenants, RT. Fuck, that's just worth its weight in gold. Like, a good tenant, once you get them, I like to try and almost suffocate them, you know, like, stay there. You're not going anywhere. I want you right
Metaphorically, ladies.
Metaphorically. And then also, when we're talking about when we come in and being competitive with your rent, like, if you're going, oh mate, but I'm fixated on 400. If it goes one more week, that's $400 you're missing out on, right? And you're going, oh, but I want to get, you know, 405 or whatever it is. I want to get that $5 extra. Well, fuck, peanut. You've just missed $400 of that because you're trying to hang on to the $5. So try and think laterally and big picture. But there's a few absolute gems in there, I think.
Everyone's different though. Like, if you've still got $100,000 left over in your bank account, which we've had plenty of clients do, why not fucking, like, go for 420? If the market's quite buoyant, like, that's how old mate got 580. We were like, oh, I reckon 550, 560. And someone's like, fuck it, go to 580. And I think, you know, Dan, you said that. And Jane's like, I'll fall off my chair if he gets 580. Sure enough, the market dictated that it goes 580 because he could handle an extra 2 or 3 weeks on the market. He took the punt. He had a crack, and guess what? He fucking benefited from it. If it didn't work, okay, you lose $1,000 because your fucking property sits on the market for an extra 2 weeks. Now you've only got $99,000 in the bank. Whoop-de-fucking-do. So everyone's different. Some clients are like, I need a tenant straight away. I don't give a fuck if I lose $40 a week in the rent. Get it off my hands. I don't want to pay the bloody rent, and I don't want to pay the mortgage anymore. Other clients will be like, fucking whatever, man. Let the property manager do their job, and I'll go for top dollar rent. So everyone's different. Yeah. Everyone's got a risk management guide to apply to their circumstances. And at the end of the day, it's all about us as service providers taking instructions from our clients.
Yeah, it's just like our property specialists, our coaches, and especially our build support team. They're living in this area every day. It's not like, and the same with the property managers that are out there doing this. Like, they're the ones all working with, like, it's not really, you know, for the tenants to say, like, these guys are the ones, especially the property managers. If this is what they're saying, just go with it.
Yeah, and certainly, Michelle, just before you type in where you're from, we don't list certain locations here, please, but we know that you're an expert and you've been living in that particular region for many, many years. So you do know the area extremely well, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, your expert opinion on stuff is always warranted. But I guess it's, you know, as I said, that every client's got different circumstances. So just please be prepared to, you know, roll that accordingly.
That rental return, though, was competitive, right? It's not like
absolutely
sitting there at 520 and they just shot for 580. Like that.
Other properties at 620 or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so it was extremely competitive for the market that it was in at that very time. It was just that 12 months ago, you would never have thought it would be at that, considering what the market was then. Because when you are doing that and you do put your property pack together and you go through and you do an assessment, you look at it, you can only do with what's in front of you at that point in time.
Yep.
Fast forward, 6-12 months, and it just shows you the growth that went into that place.
Yeah. It's so good.
Amazing.
Michelle, thank you so much for asking that question, buddy. Like, you know, it's one of my ongoing priorities in the whole business. Right? I'll tell you what as a CEO, I'll tell you what my ongoing priorities are. That is, they never change. Ongoing means they're fucking there all the time. Our reputation and our standing in the marketplace from a branding perspective, what's going on in the finance sector, because sure as shit, almost every single one of these, you know, we end up talking about finance in some way, shape or form as well. Of course, we need to nail down the right locations. That's the third ongoing priority, to make sure with these high demand, low supply, great chance of sustaining the low risk capital growth is occurring. And then the last little bit, which is an ongoing priority of mine, is exactly what we're talking about now. Our clients' experiences at the end of the build, trying to find a fucking tenant. Because at the end of the day, a client can have an awesome coaching experience, find the perfect house, have the being built by the perfect builder, and like completely hands off at the end of the day. But if they can't find a tenant and the property's sitting there for 2 months with no fucking thing, they're going to forget about their coaching. They're going to forget about the fucking builder. They're going to forget about the build process. And that's going to be the fucking taste on their tongue. Almost showed you my tongue there. That's going to be the taste on their tongue. And that's going to be the way they feel at the end. So it's super important that we nail down exactly what their experience is like at the end of the build. And, you know, all this stuff we're talking about now is so very, very welcome. And we need to be fully transparent as far as that goes. Expectation management, Benny Hinton. Listen to the experts. There's a reason why you could trust them with your property. Yes, mate, 100%. Righto, here we go. Shawnee Thomas, what a great question, buddy. Why are we not seeing a relative growth in apartment values in South East Queensland when houses have had such a great run?
Damn.
Oh, you want
I love it.
Go for it.
Supply versus demand, bro. It's easy.
Too many of them.
I've just been talking about it for the last 5 minutes. Supply versus demand.
Because there's a bucket load of supply. In short,
they all came on around the same time
They
too.
did.
there's a bucket load of supply. No one's living in a fucking apartment during COVID, mate.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you were right now living in a 1-bedroom apartment and you can't leave.
A friend of
Just
mine
for the
was.
time, I just saw it on the news out at Campbelltown, no less, in bloody Sydney. I used to live in fucking Minto, so don't bloody bad. And I used to play bloody footy for Campbelltown back in the day, in the old Holsworthy days. They just fucking shut down. They had 6 cop cars out there. They've shut down a whole fucking apartment complex in Sydney because there's 3 people that have got the Delta variant, and now all the lifts, all the common areas, all the car parks have to be fucking fully deep cleaned. You are not fucking leaving your house for 2 weeks. Snap, lockdown, there and done. No groceries, no fucking air, no nothing. Too bad. Cops are there out the front. No, thanks very much.
Look,
Also,
yeah.
one of my friends was in Brisbane in COVID last year, and her apartment actually had no sunlight in, and she was a close contact, so she was isolated for 2 weeks, and wasn't allowed to leave. She nearly went like bonkers with it, and now she's living down in Sydney and in lockdown again. Poor thing, but she's like, I would never live in a high-rise, like big multi-story apartment block like I was living. I'm never going to be that constricted again. So I think there's also going to be a big change from people, that have lived in apartments all their life, that they don't want that. They want a yard. They want freedom.
Yeah. I mean, Sean, like, just to put some metrics, I suppose, around it, about 2.5 years ago, mate, there was a report released that said Brisbane had a pipeline of about 4 years worth of apartments still coming. And we're only 2.5 years into that, and we're now at a position in time where there's a less of a demand on that same supply that was already an oversupply. So from that perspective, mate, that's why when you see a relative growth, like, there will be increases in prices and everything like that. It'll be trickling along, and you'll probably get pretty good rental yields, but what capital growth you're going to get remains to be seen. You just saw a property that was $525,000 that gets $580 a week rent. That's just as good as any apartment that I've seen going around. So,
yeah.
Dane, what about you, bud?
Says us living on level 66 of the Q1. Now this is a perishable. Dan, I'll spot that from you.
Well, let me caveat that. If you went and had a look at the luxury apartment market in Brisbane, you would have great growth. But because there's a scarcity of them. Anything that's a 4-bedroom apartment in Brisbane, the price has gone through the roof, man. Go and research it. That is a very different market to an apartment market in general, where you've got 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. It's no longer a luxury item. Like, if you've got penthouse apartments overlooking the Brisbane River, you're paying for a premium and you will pay a lot of money and they are going up in value. But turn up with your checkbook, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Robbie does love being here in the Q1. I'm definitely excited about living in a house again already, and I've still got like months to go.
Yeah,
he hasn't gone off the balcony yet, so I've done.
We don't have a balcony. Thank fuck for that. Yeah. Oh, love it. Hey, with 5 minutes to go, Noah's just reminded us about a brand new service we're going to be providing to you guys. Well, me, really. Yeah, we're serving those that serve us. That's what's going on. So this Friday, that's why I'm rehearsing with this thing. With no fucking cord. I shall have a cord and it shall be plugged in. At 11 a.m. on Friday, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do a thing called Robbie's Rant. I don't know whether you guys have heard me rant before about anything, but I've got a few things I want to get off my chest and certainly pass on to everyone. So it is going to be recorded. It is going to be live on our Facebook page. You guys will be able to watch it another time. But yeah, it's basically going to be me drawing off for about 20 minutes. And I'm just going to tell you all about a whole lot of stuff that we don't talk about in these forums here. I don't know what I'm going to
How did it get out to 20 minutes, mate? I don't think anyone signed off on listening to you for 20 minutes.
He said 5 to 7 minutes.
I'll fucking go for as long as what I need to. And then this is going to be the funny thing. Whilst I'll be able to see people on a Facebook Live, start to interact with me, a little bit like we're doing now, I won't have anyone else to bounce shit off. It's just going to be me and fucking Wilson here. So, that's what it's going to be. Me and my little buddy Wilson. He's road A.
RT's got no appointments after that either. I've noticed on his schedule.
That's his knockoff mark. He does that.
His afternoon's free, so he could.
But to get access to it, you need to be able to join that group that Noah's just put in there right now. So ADF Property Investors, get at it. Share that with your bloody friends. James, I'm mentally preparing for my mate. Me too. Here's the thing. I don't even know what I'm going to fucking talk about. I've got a bit of an idea and I've got a couple of things in mind, but it's just going to happen when it happens, mate. Just
and you're going live. I'm really scared.
Robbie Rant preview right now. Yeah, pretty much, Junior Herman. That's exactly what I'm doing. Leroy, I know you'll be there, brother. So yeah, dial in this Friday morning, every Friday morning. Now, just on this, gents and lady, we need to now tell everyone that we're going to be doing alternate Wednesday nights for this Facebook Live. So we're going to go back to we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. So please book it in, ladies and gents. We had a bit of a chat there today. We just need to, minimize our time away from the family a little bit. We've been doing these now. Dan, you said March is when COVID started. I think it was like the first week of June last year we started. So let's call it the better part of 18 months we've been doing these for.
Ben, don't get too upset, Ben. I've known Robbie and Tammy for a long time. It's quite likely that this is just going to be reinvested into something else that you just haven't heard about yet as well.
Stay tuned. Something else is coming for our client.
So yeah, we're just so you get Robbie Rant as a fill-in. That's pretty much the same thing. Kent will be watching the reruns. But this is the thing. I need more time in my life to be able to go and visit the likes of Kent and Junior when their place comes available. That's what I'd love to be able to do as well. So
that's going to be us. So, yeah, see you in 2 weeks, ladies and gents. Dane, Dan, Tammy, that was a bloody awesome little session. I hope everyone liked my little prop here. You'll see more of that in the coming times. I like to emphasize a few things. Maybe it stops me fucking swearing every now and then. Probably won't. But, we'll see you guys in a fortnight. Enjoy the rest of your night.
See you
again, everyone. I loved your questions. Thank you, Michelle, for your questions. Thanks for all the other stuff that came through. We got heaps of other stuff coming your way. Watch this space. See you later.
See ya. Bye.